Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest, episode number 75, the cybersucks.com cyberpunksucks.com episode.
There we go.
Check out our website for the most up-to-date conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So literally somebody, Hunter on Twitter at HXFearNoFishGXG said, sent us a message that he actually registered cyberpunksucks.com and it redirects to the DCP live Twitch page.
So thank you very much for that.
That's actually kind of amazing.
For spreading our
Fish,
clout
that's
right
kind of
there,
amazing.
right? Pretty
You know,
nice.
what if it starts getting a bunch of hits? Because people are definitely Googling that right now.
Cyberpunk sucks.
Yeah,
They're definitely.
that'd be incredible.
Or
What we
like,
should do-
why does my cyberpunk suck? Is maybe what they're.
Maybe we should. Maybe we're on something. Maybe we should take a load of URLs. We should take like PS4cyberpunkpatch.com.
Yeah.
Like
That's a good one.
I don't know. Like when
How to
our console-
optimize Cyberpunk.
Yeah. .com exactly right. All of these people search for it. They're like, oh, look at this, and then
Just some
And here
next
you are.
level
Here we
SEO
are.
right there. Yeah.
and it'll be the ultimate clickbait because we'll be like,
I'm just going
wow, we've
to
actually
put
enjoyed the
pictures of
game.
my junk up on every one of those pages.
It's relevant.
Relevant.
Just like
weird.
but the digital version, the cyber junk, right?
Yeah, your
From your
cyber junk,
character
obviously. The number two.
Cyberjunk.
creation. Yeah, V Junior.
My favorite GIF I've seen of like all of this, like everybody's talking about Cyberpunk right now. One of the things they're talking about is how poorly it runs, especially if you have bad hardware, or old hardware, not bad.
Or if you know
hardware.
have a 3090, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of them was like, this game is so poorly optimized, and the other person looks over like, you have a 750 Ti. I'm like, so?
Oh dear.
Yeah, we should probably like give a little, are we going to talk about spoilers? I would hope not because I haven't finished the game yet.
No, I don't
Right.
think it's time yet for that.
No,
Yeah,
I think
so no-
you can talk a lot about this game without getting into specifics
Exactly.
of story stuff, I think.
Yeah, and
especially with all the things happening.
Yeah, and I think it should definitely, like, I'm going to have a lot of good things to say. I'm also going to have a lot of like big criticisms to say as well. So
Yeah.
just so people know, it's not going to be like purely a bitch fest or purely a Cyberpunk can't do no wrong type of podcast or anything
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
and any negativity that's said is definitely not like we're just hating on the game because it's popular. There are valid criticisms of the game, and that's what
Yeah.
will be talked about.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I've put 30 something hours into the game.
Hmm.
And not because I was trying to get ready for the show or anything, but because I couldn't tear myself away from this broken fucking mess of a game.
I think I'm in the same boat. Like, it is so broken at times. It's hilarious, but it's
Yeah.
so like you want to keep playing. You want to keep doing. You just want to explore Night
Yeah.
City. You want to.
Yeah,
I actually have the opposite opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
When I'm playing the game, I am like, okay, having fun. But then when I get off the game, I have no desire to keep playing it.
That's fair.
Too much katana.
And there's a lot of reasons. many
katana.
reasons.
All right. So the game is kind of it's a little different than I expected it to be. I expected it to be more of an RPG. It almost feels more like a cross between like a GTA game, like an open world action game, and like a Fallout game. Like what are the new Fallouts? Like Fallout 3 or Fallout 4. And like I don't know, almost like a Prey type of game, like one of those like immersive kind of sim games.
I've been saying GTA meets Fallout meets Deus Ex.
I think that's a really good combination.
Yeah.
Right? And it gets a lot of what those games get right, and it gets a lot of what those games get wrong, but it's a completely kind of unique like picking of like what those games do in a package that is clearly not finished yet.
clearly. Oh my god.
I've heard a couple of news outlets report that they had to get this game out this year. Like there was no choice; they just had to do it.
It feels like
which
it.
is unfortunate because
Very unfortunate.
this game, I feel like it could have used quite a bit more time. Obviously, and I'm playing the PC version, which is the good version. If you bought the PlayStation or Xbox version and you're trying to play it on a PS4 or an Xbox One, you're having a real bad time. Like if you're getting 15 to 20 FPS, you're doing okay over there.
Yikes.
Jeez.
Which is a nightmare. But on the PC, a lot of people have been complaining about the optimization. This is just a heavy game to run, like especially if you want to turn on like the next gen features like RTX, like the real time ray tracing and all of that stuff. Like if you turn it all back down, like good frame rates are achievable. I went with the I don't know. Have you guys seen the Digital Foundry video where they kind of went through all the settings one by one? And
haven't done that yet.
They did a pretty good job explaining like what each one does and like kind of their recommended settings for your specific hardware and the frame rate you desire. And it does a pretty good job. Like for me, it got me to 60 FPS with RTX on, running on a 2080 Ti.
I can't get that.
No, you can't get there.
I'm like sitting maybe like 50 FPS, and then I'll turn everything to low, and I'm like, it's still kind of ass. But talking about settings and all of that stuff, I do want to bring up something that was posted on Reddit by someone who said, I think you shipped the wrong config on PC. So what they did is they went into the config settings of this game, and they found that when they were looking at PC, Xbox, and PlayStation across the board, and like which CPU stuff they were using, which GPU settings they were using, all of them were exactly the same. And PC shouldn't be the same. So they went in and changed a bunch of things. They changed the pool CPU, the pool GPU, and they managed to get significantly more frames.
Well, that's good news. So that's good news.
It's very good news. I'll put it in chat to this article because there are people who go through exactly what you have to do in the config settings to do it. Of course, anytime you mess with that type of stuff, it can be a little scary, but it does appear that something might have shipped a little bit incorrect.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of stuff. I mean, some of the settings don't even function at all. Like they don't.
Yeah,
you can move that bar as much as you want. It doesn't do anything.
I noticed that a couple times.
Yeah. I'm like, let me put ultra on. All right, okay, well, 45 frames. All right, let's do a low. 45 frames. All right.
And no visible difference. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird because it like when you initially change it, it goes to looking like, okay, visually this definitely looks significantly worse. But then it does this thing where it goes back to looking how it was before. So I'm almost wondering if the settings that I'm setting are just not actually doing anything.
Yeah, some of them definitely are not doing anything. Like thank God for DLSS because I'm trying to run this at 4K on my new monitor.
Okay. Right.
It's challenging.
Yeah, see, because I opted for, so I ran the whole thing, I'm on a 3080, so I ran the whole thing in 1440p, and then everything's on ultra, all the settings are at the max. And then I'm averaging about 70-ish frames, so I've been pretty decent on that one.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I think that's also partly why, like, I guess, because it's interesting because I was really fortunate because a lot of people were kind of speaking during the week about like how difficult it was to run, and obviously for me, like on the 3080, it's just like short of there's a couple of things which I think is actually like a bug. I think there's a couple of cutscenes where it just drops down to like 15 FPS for like 5 seconds and then just goes back to normal. But other than that, the most I get is that if I'm averaging sort of like 70-ish, and then when it kind of, if it's like nighttime raining in the busy city, I kind of sort of see it level just a little bit below 60. But generally speaking, I've been, for me, it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah. So on a 3070, it's been all over the place for me, and the places that it drops where I definitely. Are you
playing at 1080p, Tefty?
I'm playing at 1080p, yeah. But I also played at ultra, and then I think I turned down ambient occlusion a little bit. And again, ultra could be like, sure, ultra, get on now and go on with your game plan. When I get into a city that has, or when I get into the city with a ton of people and a ton of stuff going on big draw distance, that's when the frames really tank, or it'll start going below 60 FPS pretty noticeably. But outside of that, it's consistently been at least over 60 for. Nice. It's when I get into those scenes where there's a bunch of NPCs walking around and the field of view or the draw distance is pretty far because of like the whatever it's seen, then that's when I notice it tanks.
Yeah. So aside from frame rates, please tell me the most entertaining bug that you've run into so far.
Oh man.
I'll start off. there was a jumper. I was driving down the street. No, I was walking down the street, and there was a jumper. Somebody committed suicide right in front of me, which I don't think was a bug. I think that was like a scripted event when you walk through that area for the first time.
Anything like that.
Pretty sure. So the guy jumped from a building. I looked up and I didn't see anything like an open window or anything. So he must have been on the roof. Landed right in front of me, splattered. I walked up to him, and then he did it around 40 more times. Like a waterfall of bodies.
What
boom, 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 boom.
Oh my god!
Wow.
And then he stood up in a T-pose, and he just kind of away.
Oh, that's
At
hilarious.
least he's all right.
I found Jesus.
I haven't had
Oh,
anything that entertaining. The only bug that I really had was, I think it's a bug that actually everyone has, is during one of the story missions when you're going to an elevator, there's an enemy you have to kill that's in the elevator, and he was freaking like invisible and glitching in and out, and he was like there and not there, and then teleported out and teleported in, and I was like,
I remember that guy.
Keep shooting. Yeah,
He suddenly appeared in the elevator for me, and I was like, shot him in the head. I was like, Jesus. And it was like, quest.
Yeah,
it's interesting because for me, like, I've had like it's funny because, you know, I remember like when I put up my initial impressions video, like a lot of people were like, oh, you know, you didn't speak too much about bugs. And the interesting thing is for me, like I had a few random things here and there, but I didn't really, for the most part, I didn't have anything that really impacted my experience, largely speaking of. I had like the occasional thing where you're driving down the road and like a lorry will just fly in the sky, and I'm like, you know, fair enough. Or I have like the occasional, I have the occasional thing where like I might be in a cutscene and someone's lips will stop moving, so there's no like lip sync and stuff. But generally speaking, I think I just had like a really fortunate experience where most of the time playing through the game, I didn't really experience anything that like ruined my experience or ruined my immersion. The only one time I had an annoying thing was there's this really annoying part in a mission later on where you have to get to this elevator. You know, like anytime you walk in the elevator, you wait a second and the button loads, it says go to like the, you know, wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
In this very hyper specific situation, if I got detected by enemies, the elevator button would just not load, just never ever load. So but then they were placed in a really annoying way where anytime you kill one, the other guy would always see you. So I literally had to repeat this section about 4 times to try and finesse the situation to take them both out without them seeing each other, so they wouldn't get detected. And then I could literally see if my screen went red, I could see the button disappear on the elevator. I'm just like, no, not again. So I had to just like perfectly hitman this thing to take them out. And then get in the elevator, and then I got up, and then I died, and then I had to go and do it all over again.
Oh no!
But
I had a similar one where I was at the very end of a mission, and the mission, like, it rings off like it's completed. You know how like it gives you a little dialogue box on the side of the screen to tell you the mission is finished, but everybody's still talking, and I've still got dialogue options in this mission. But because the game thinks the mission is over, I start getting phone calls from other people that I have to accept, like the game auto. So now I've got 2 conversations going at once, and I can't make the selection to the dialogue in the mission I'm in, and it was an important one. So I had to reload that mission about 4 times, and every time it happened exactly the same way. So I went and just kind of cruised around in the streets until that person called me who was interrupting, and then I had that conversation, and then I went back into that mission, completed that mission again, and it was fixed. I've also update 1.04 completely killed my game. I had to uninstall the game. I could not.
Wow.
Like I'd load into the game and I'd get about a minute of gameplay, and then the game would freeze, and then lock up, boot me to desktop. So I had to uninstall the game at that point, reinstall it. That fixed that.
That's not a funny bug.
But no, it's not. And then I've had to probably reboot the game on average once every 2 hours or so, because I get some kind of a bug that is not necessarily impeding my progress, but is upsetting me enough that I feel the need to reset it. Like something like the Q button no longer works to change the camera, or I can no longer run, which is a common one. Or another one is like I
got the ADS bug one time where it wouldn't it like wouldn't let un-ADS me or something.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that one. Yeah. I've had the pop-up screen that comes when you mouse over like a weapon on the ground, like a pick-upable item.
That stays on there.
That box just stayed up there. And I was like, this. So
that box, it stays up there until you see another gun. At least it did for me. And when I looked at another gun, then it finally went away.
Yeah. So.
I did actually have one really annoying one, which was, because I was in the middle of a mission, I had to just deal with it. But there was this annoying one when I was in a brain dance where my camera just would like snap to looking at the ground. and then when I would move forward, it would snap back up. So, but then I basically had to just like mentally reprogram my mind to like keep moving to reset the camera, just because I was like, well, I'm in the middle of this mission, I need to finish it. And then I got out of that one.
I had a bug where I was doing a Netrunner like side quest or something like that, like saving someone who was getting, jacked or whatever the crap. And I went there, and there was like a fast timer thing to do a dialogue option, and I hit the option to like save the person or whatever, and then the NPC was like, she's gonna die, and I was like, I just saved her, and then suddenly she's like, oh, okay, good job, we saved her. And then I got both dialogue options for having her die or stay alive, and I was like, this is weird, huh? So then I did the thing where it saved her or whatever, but like apparently she was laying dead on the thing, I think, anyways, because as soon as the mission was over, she suddenly phased into the wall, like the dead NPC that's like on the chair, like haven't been operated on or something like that.
I'm fine.
Yeah, and then suddenly just phased into the wall. Her feet are sticking out of the wall, and I was like, this is entertaining, man. These bugs are great.
With all those bugs,
I've also not had a single crash. I know everybody is crashing constantly. Well, I guess Eric's hasn't, but like I haven't had a single crash happen with all the craziness.
Yeah, after I reinstalled update 1.04 or reinstalled the full game at that point, I haven't had any crashes to desktop since then. But I've had to reboot the game, like I said, like about once every hour to 2 hours to solve some issue that's cropped up. That all being said, though, the world of Cyberpunk, the Night City, like Cyber. I was gonna go Cyber City. The world of Night City, the world of Cyberpunk and the surrounding area is goddamn gorgeous. It is the most beautiful open world I've ever seen, and not just on a technical level, but on the art level too. It's just like there's so much variety, like the amount of different stuff. Like I never feel like I'm walking into the same area twice. You know how like in a Fallout game, you'll walk into a house and it's like the house that you walk into, like, 50 times during your playthrough of a Fallout game. And I never felt that. Every time I walked into a new area, I always felt like it was new and unique. And there's like an ashtray, like it's the same ashtray was there, or the same blue beads might be hanging from the doorway that are often seen in a bunch of places. But every individual kind of place I walked into felt bespoke and designed specifically for the place that it's in, the characters who inhabit it, like all of that stuff. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, I think like the visual environmental detail is really impressive. And for as impressive as the environmental detail is, it's inversely impressive of the detail of the NPCs. Some of them walking around, I was like, this looks like it's like last gen, like previous last gen almost. And then you have this beautiful art like environment, and then some janky ass like low quality animation and low model character walking around. It's really weird. It's
nice to hear you say that. Like I find the NPCs to be well animated when they're not bugged out. But well animated. Like there's so many of them too. Like walking through the city and like you come to like this populated area. There's so many of them, and they're all like distinctly dressed. They all look different. Like it's not just like there's not like 6 NPCs that all you just see over and over again. There's so many. And they look good.
I've definitely seen the same NPCs.
Same.
Again. Not in like the same, it won't be like the same crowd of like 6 Johns. Yeah. But I definitely have like turned the corner and seen the same NPC. Or I had one really funny thing where NPC was walking towards me and it was like some very zombie looking dude. And then he just turned into a very beautiful cyberpunk lady. And I was like,
interesting.
Right.
Fascinating.
Out in the desert, I see like there's traffic always about 200 yards in front of me. Like a traffic jam constantly 200 yards in front of me. And no matter how close I get to it, it stays 200 yards in front of me.
That's funny. Yeah, it's really weird. The visual quality and fidelity is like all over the board for me in this game. And I think the biggest things are the NPCs sometimes look just really low quality, like they're plastic, you know, or like they like the geometry on their hands, like legit look like they're beginning PS4 generation or like end of
Are
PS3
you playing
generation.
on PS4,
Wow.
Tufty? Because
Yeah,
that's their experience of the whole game.
Right? Yeah. And then you'll have like other NPCs that are really well done, like Judy. Judy looks really good in the game for me.
Oh yeah, like
or
the main
Jackie.
characters. Are
Yeah, the main
incredible.
characters look great.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part, they look great. There's a few times where it's like, huh? And the main characters, for the most part, have good voice acting. And then you get to like the world NPCs, and they are just all over the place for me. And a lot of their like voiceover dialogue is like, just kind of like, yeah, we need to get this done. Say your line. All right, great. We need the next line now. Like they,
the world NPCs are the interesting one because it's that one sort of thing. It's almost like that typical kind of developer spiel before like a game comes out, where like a lot of the time they'll be like, oh, you know, we've got this living, breathing world where, you know, I think it was said in one of those like early interviews where they're like, oh, you know, you can go up to anyone in the world and have a conversation with them. When in reality, you can go up to anyone in the world and say, hey, and they're like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You're like, quit bugging me, asshole. It's like the same, same dialogue.
But you know, to be realistic, I never expected to have like a fully fledged dialogue with like a bajillion NPCs. That's you know, that's fair enough. But it's,
nor do I want to really.
No, exactly right. A lot of the time, I'm just like, get out of my way. Whatever. Oh, I've run you over by accident. Now the police are chasing me. So it's like, yeah.
Which the police, by the way, might be the worst police ever.
They're
in
so
the
hyper.
history
Hard
of the
disagree.
universe.
Best police ever. You commit a crime, drive about 15 seconds down the road, scot-free.
The thing that's so weird. It's so weird. The police will never chase you, right? There's never any police car chases. They just kind of teleport behind you, like, "Hello, you have 1 star. I am here to enact your 1 star."
I happen to be in the alleyway too with you. It's like I didn't see you here.
Although if you tried to fight it, they get real strong, real quick.
Oh yeah, they get badass.
Strong. Yeah, but there's
call in
no
the super soldiers.
just in general, there's no car AI in this game.
Yeah.
Period. It's like putting a train on a train track, and it just kind of goes around. And then if you put something in the way, they're like, don't know, can't do anything about it.
That's exactly right.
A lot of this game, you are the passenger, right? It's kind of fun. I enjoy that part of the game because it gives you a chance to just enjoy your surroundings, look out the window as you're driving around, like because the city is so beautiful. But the AI drivers are terrible. And they've run over people. They've crashed the car. They've got the car stuck to the point where I had to reload the mission.
Wow.
On that point of like cars being like on train tracks, I kid you not, right? I didn't die that often in this game because I didn't find it like hugely challenging. But that's not what I played it for. I'm not playing it for like a Dark Souls experience. I swear, the most times I've died, I've been killed by cars. If you're at GTA, right? I'm like, oh, I want to steal this car. I'm going to stand in front of it. They're going to slow down.
Oh no, they're not.
No.
Like, what?
This is a nice city. We don't slow down for pedestrians.
Well, the amount of times I'm just like, oh, I'm going to cross the road quickly, and it's like, boosh. I'm just like, okay, there we go. I've died so many times just to cars. Like bosses, no. Enemies, no. Cars, yes.
Yeah,
there was a. Go ahead, Daphne.
I was going to say the difficulty curve does also seem like either bugged or just forgot about for the final patch, because some things are kind of difficult and other things are like, well, that's a breeze. I'm playing on very hard because I was like, I like challenges and stuff. The only time I've actually experienced an actual challenge is by going into an area that I'm like 18 levels under level. This area is like level 30 recommended, and I'm level 20, or I mean level 12, and suddenly these guys are difficult and they're bullet sponges, and I have to actually like be careful. Everything else, it's like I can just walk in, play stealth for a couple kills, and then just, and then I started blasting.
Yeah, the weapon balancing too, I find very odd. It's like some weapons are really fun to use, so I want to use them. Like I find a lot of the pistols in this game super fun to use. They're like satisfying to shoot. I like aiming them up, getting the headshots. But unfortunately, there's like these giveaways, like this free stuff that you get if you sign up for Good Old Games, like a Good Old Games account. They'll give you like a samurai sword and like a Witcher jacket and like a Witcher t-shirt and a bunch of other things. So I got that samurai sword after I was probably like level 20 something, and it dropped at such a high DPS level that it became the de facto weapon that I need to use if I absolutely must kill somebody quick, right? Like if I'm in trouble, like this thing, it's so much more powerful than any other weapon I have. But it feels so shitty to use. Like I really don't like using it because there's no feedback to swiping this sword. There's no like especially after playing Dark Souls last week, right, where there's so much feedback to using a sword. Like you can every parry you can feel, every block you can feel, every time you swipe you can feel it. If your sword clangs off the side of a stone wall, you feel it like ringing in your hand. In this game, it just kind of like you just kind of whiff, and like you get audible feedback if you make a hit. Sometimes you'll see a splash of blood, but like I don't know, it just feels like.
I
like
agree with
experience.
You on that one, Briar. I felt like a lot of the time because I've exclusively used the katana, and I run in there and I'm like, oh no, it's gonna start slashing, and there's nothing that's really. It doesn't feel weighty. It doesn't feel like I'm slashing into flesh. Or when I chop someone's head off, I don't really feel that. So yeah, I do agree with that. There's also a lot happening with this, like a lot of screen shake and like there's a lot of effects going on. So I feel like
turn
that
a lot
also
of that
doesn't
down.
help. You can.
Yeah. Which I had to do because especially his run animation, he's like,
oh yeah, it's too much. I hate it.
So I basically use no weapons. So I built a melee build. So I spec entirely
straight up punch.
I went gorilla fist and I just punch everyone, right? When I tell you this melee, like I don't know what balance is like, right? But let me just tell you, when I was using guns in the game and I'm shooting someone for like a few seconds and it takes me a lot, I imitate a couple of clips, I go up to almost everyone, 2 punches, dead, bam, bam. You know,
really? Did you do all the boxing then? Because
I did that. But like, even down to like you know very early in the game, like you've all played like at least like 10-15 hours, right? Like very early in the game in like the hotel, you fight that little Minotaur robot thing.
Yeah, you punch that thing.
I can punch that in 3 punches. Bam, dead.
I tried to melee that thing, but it did the Destiny floor stomp and killed me in one hit.
No, I run around it, but like I mean, obviously I've spec'd I've literally got 20 points in body, so like I'm very very strong and tanky.
Okay,
but like,
gotcha.
I flying drones, 1 punch dead. Most gang members, 1 punch dead. Like when I fight bosses in the game, 3 punches they're down, and I'm just like.
So that's interesting. That kind of checks out with what. So Paul Tassi put out a tweet and was like talking about builds and stuff, and he was like, "So it seems like if you spec really hard into like punching or katanas or shotguns or whatever, you are OP no matter what you do, as long as you've spec'd into that thing hardcore.
Yeah,
you're OP no matter what."
Yeah, I've actually.
That's another part of the game that really needs balancing. Like depending on what you spec into. Like I watched Skill Up's review of the game, and he had spec'd heavy into crafting, and I've had a similar experience to him. It's like there's no crafting to be done in this game. Like you don't get the materials to do it, and even if you do, you're going to be crafting stuff that's below the level that you're finding stuff in the world at. So it's like there's just no reason at all to craft stuff.
Yeah,
except for ammo. I do craft ammo when I'm running out.
Yeah. Did you guys get the mantis blades and try those?
Not yet.
Dude,
that's one of the things I'm saving up for now. I have a katana, so I don't really feel the need for it.
Yeah, but you whip up the blades and just stand
all right. You sold me.
Open doors.
But you got to try the mantis blades. They're amazing. You feel like you are on some extreme drug and you're on a murder spree in Night City when you're using them. All right.
I do like with the katana having the double jump combo with the katana because you can really kind of. Like in the area you're in, as long as there's like multiple levels, you can be hopping all over the place. They can't really shoot you because they're not fast enough with their guns. So you're like hopping up and then you come down, you slash them a couple of times. Usually that kills them, frankly. And then you start jumping around again and it ends up being kind of fun. But I find the guns to be much more satisfying. Like I got this really sweet sniper rifle from a quest that just absolutely murders everything.
What does it do?
It pops heads from very long distances.
Okay, because I've got a build now that is, I mean, it's beyond broken at this point. All right, like so the ping thing. You can ping a camera and see all the enemies.
Oh
yeah. And then there's these charge guns, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So if you spec into charge and you get a charge sniper, you can wall bang every enemy in the area by you can stand in one shot, you charge up and you wall bang every single, you could shoot through the floor, shoot up top. I was like, this is so broken. And like, I love it, but nothing's a challenge now. And I've spec'd fully into, or I spec'd even harder into the charge shots now. So I'm getting like ridiculous crits off this stuff. Yeah. And like you also get a thing where the charge will hold so after you've spec'd it, like it will hold the charge now. It won't just automatically go off. So you can hold it. It does get super shaky, but I'm just like, this is broken, man. So I ping the camera. I see all the enemies. And I'm like, shoo, 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 shoo.
That was like the what's it called? The Farsight and Perfect Dark.
Oh yeah, people kept on talking about. I've never played Perfect Dark, so I didn't know what it was.
Oh, they just announced they're making another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the multiplayer gun. That was just like wall bang. Yeah, that's so.
So
it's ridiculous.
They actually came out with an apology about the kind of state the game launched in. But one thing that they mentioned in said apology is that they're going to be releasing patches. One's going to come out before they go on Christmas break. I think they're going on Christmas break on the 21st, I think they said. And then they expect to do a big patch in January and a big patch in February. So hopefully those will be pretty good. They're really focusing on the consoles because the consoles launched in a state that the game is unplayable, I would say. Like,
let's be honest, what they did with the console release is straight up scummy. Like, it absolutely is. If this game was initially announced as the PS2 was like being put away. No one was bothering with the PS2 anymore. So we're looking at the PS4 and the Xbox. It was made for those consoles initially. When it was released, we were like, hey, it's going to play on those consoles. When it came to the review period, they didn't release any console review copies, which is
because they knew it was bugged.
If the game released amazing on consoles, then you could be like, okay, well, maybe there was just something going on behind the scenes where they couldn't do that. But the fact that it released in a state that is not representative of the things that they've shown, and they've been on the Xbox stage showing gameplay, like, yeah, this is Xbox gameplay. It doesn't look like, even if you say that your game is playable and it's great, it does not look like that. So they held back copies of console footage, so no one knew what they were getting into. And then even with PC, you weren't able to use your own footage until the day of the release.
Yeah.
So that whole practice is really
shady.
disappointing, and has definitely made me not want to play the game, because I feel when I'm streaming and people are coming in and they're like, do you recommend this game? And they're seeing my game running pretty well. I'm like, honestly, if you're on console, no. Even if you're on PS5, wait until the next gen patch, see what it plays like, and then make your decision.
Yeah.
But I think if you're on console now, period, I just wouldn't recommend it. There's some people that have had like a good experience on console, and that's great. But I personally could not say, hell yeah,
it seems like a lot of people who are on PS5 and the Series X have had like decent experiences. You know, it still crashes a lot, but it's been playable, and it hasn't been like a motion sickness simulator of low frame rates. But apparently the previous gen is just really, really rough, and they knew it, and they didn't admit it, and they tried to, just like you said, it was super scummy what they did with the review process, so people wouldn't be like, holy crap, this is rough. Like, how could you even release it?
They shouldn't have released it.
You
They
know?
shouldn't have released the PS4 and Xbox version the way they are. If I had bought it
$60,
if I had bought it and I was planning on playing it on a PlayStation, I'd probably have returned it, like, because it's not.
Well, they said in that letter now
is ready to.
now you
they're
can,
openly accepting returns for console.
I think that's
I'm just really surprised, like, because I used to work in QA, so I'm really surprised that the game on PS4 and Xbox Series actually passed certification. Because like normally for like, you know, bare minimum for QA, like, you know, you need to be able to complete the game. Like, you know, in order for something to pass cert, you have to be able to play the game from beginning to end, you know, without what they consider like those severity 0 crashes, which is normally like things that will stop like progress blockers. Like, I don't even know how that passed. Like, I don't know, because like, you know,
I'm wondering the same thing. Yeah, because you can not pass over something quite minimal happening in the game, and they're like, no, sorry. So I'm really confused about this whole situation. This whole thing is just so weird. It's one of those games where when I'm in the game, it's like I can have fun with it. When I get off the game, I'm just like, oh, there's so much controversy around how they've handled so many things throughout the lead up to release and after release. And it really does kind of poop all over my party, especially when I load up the game and it's like, your 2080 Ti is trash. Go get a better computer.
This game is going to be benchmarked for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
The new crisis. Thing is, but I also feel bad for the team because it's like, as is often the way whenever you have these situations, like the studio work incredibly hard. They're super passionate about it, and like ultimately, a lot of these decisions, it comes with it's like there's all these like memes going around online. It's like, but the reality of the situation is that you've got hundreds of people in the studio that are working their asses off, crunching left, right, and center, and it's the decisions of like the 6 people that sit around the table that are the stakeholders, right? That really like make these decisions. But then the studio will be the ones that are going to get like berated for it. And it's the thing is, but like I completely get, it's not acceptable to release in the standard that they did. But like I'm hoping that at least if they can patch it and like if you're on console, don't buy it now, wait till later, right? But I do hope that eventually people can give it their chance because the game, like if you can play, I've been super fortunate. Like I went through and had a largely speaking, not very buggy experience. My frame's been decent. I've had like ideally like the perfect experience of Cyberpunk, and as a result of it, I've really enjoyed the game. Like I don't by any means sort of like think it's perfect, especially when you think about the sheer amount of hype that this game has been. Because again, even that to a degree, it's quite
game can live up to that hype.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's difficult because it's even that. It's like it's not the studio that made that hype. It's like it's the game. It's like it's like these guys delivered us Witcher. Witcher is this phenomenal game that's going to go down in history as this thing.
Which ship's broken?
We should actually say that The Witcher was only in a really phenomenal state after they released like the Ultimate Edition or whatever they called
2
it.
years later,
it was
right?
it was a good year after release.
It was a long time.
Well, and that thing came out on the PS3 and Xbox 2. And I think to this day you still don't want to play it there.
Fair, yeah. But I mean, but that's the point. So it's sort of like, everyone's kind of building up. They're like, because Witcher was so great, like, like CD Projekt Red can do no wrong. Like, they're going to make this thing. It's going to be the best thing in the entire existence, right? So already the studio, like, we've got these unrealistic expectations to try and meet. Because the thing is, when I played the game and I finished it, like, I love my experience. I thought it was a great game, right? Is it going to be one of my favorite games of all time? No. But I've really enjoyed it. There's a lot of things that aren't great about it. I was chatting to people the other day about it. It's like I honestly really just enjoyed Cyberpunk as an interactive movie. Like the action, I can give or take it, right? Like at the end of the day, when it comes to the action, like especially when you consider the first 6 hours of the game, I think I can count on one hand the amount of gunfights I got into. I spent most of my time just going and speaking to people because it's like, well, you don't really need to do that, right? So realistically, like
I murdered a lot of people.
See, I didn't, right?
My driving wasn't real good.
I genuinely did. Like in those first 6 hours, I think I got into like 2 fights, something like that, and I was just talking to loads of people. But that was that. I started.
If you beeline the story, it's like there's not a whole lot of opportunities for.
Yeah, but you get a ring and it's like, hey, this asshole's an asshole up in the building. Go kill him. You're like,
oh my god, that telephone that telephone does not stop ringing in the first I'd say 10 hours of the game.
Yeah,
like. It is literally going off the hook. Like I ignored it as best I could. It's like real life. Basically, I ignored the telephone as much as I could. But sometimes you automatically pick it up, and like you could be like doing something, and all of a sudden you got this person talking to your ear. You're not really paying attention. I feel like
making a joke out of it. Actually, Brian was going mushy mush, mushy mush, mushy mush. Constantly because
it's Cyberpunk's version of hey Nico, you want to go bowling?
Yeah, but it's like I mean, every time you go into a new area, people start calling you up from that area. Like it's just constant. And like I mentioned the bug earlier where it would play during like a cutscene for me.
Oh yeah.
But actually, once I had gone to all the areas and once it like slowed down in the frequency of ringing. I actually enjoyed it, the system of the telephone and the messages
I
for
like the
quest
phone,
giving. Yeah. But like it starts off just so fucking annoying that like I wanted to
it's because,
get rid of it, but
it's because like you don't initially realize that this is how they're letting you know that a quest is right next to you. At first you're like, I don't want to pick up the telephone. It's like, quit this crap. But really what's happening is they're like, hey, you're getting close to this spot. And instead of having a thing that pops up that says, do you want to do this quest right now? It's the phone. And psychologically, we're like, get that phone out of my face.
But early on, it's happening so much that it's like overwhelming. Like if you get a game that in the early going of it just like overloads you with tutorials to the point where you can never retain the information that's coming in on you. So you miss some of that stuff. And then later on, halfway through the game, all of a sudden you're like realizing, oh, this is how crafting works. I had no idea because they had given you like a 10-page explanation at the beginning of the game that you just scrolled through because you're just trying to like play the game.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I mentioned that like in my kind of first impression here. It was literally like information overload to the point where it's almost like real life social media where there was just so much stuff going on. Like I'm just trying to do something, and it's like, oh, this guy's pinging me, and this guy's pinging me. But it's like because there's so much stuff going on, like especially in that, it's almost like your first entire playthrough is a tutorial because you've got people phoning you left, right, and center. You've got quests, you've got side jobs. You've then got like you're picking up loot like 100 pieces a flipping second, like everything you can be looted. I'm just like, why am I like looting junk? Why are there random dildos lying around everywhere? It's like, what the hell is going on with this game?
I pick up every dildo.
Yeah,
Studded.
but you have that right, and then you bake on top of the fact that every time you level up, you're getting attribute points and perk points. And I'm just like, well, what if I spend it in the wrong place? Can I go back? What do I do? Like there was just so much. I was just like, I can't. I spent probably in my first like 10 hours. I kept on not spending points. I was like, I don't know where I want to spend it yet. I don't want to make the wrong decision. So
well, also you can run into a quest that you kind of need to like suddenly level up. Like so, I always kept like a reserve of like 4 points. Like so, like if I absolutely must open this door, like I can do it. You know?
Yeah.
That was definitely
the game also did a horrible job of explaining that stuff. There's so many things that it just is lacking in the UI, both from like it's just straight up confusing point of view, but also a lacking of information point of view. Like for instance, if you're gonna go craft bullets, you can just keep on crafting sniper bullets, and it will just like throw out the extra that you don't have or that you don't have room for. You know, and it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you how many you have, right? It's like,
is there any place to
see
that?
Say how much
you pull out your gun and actually.
Yeah, while you're crafting, it does not tell you how many bullets you have on you, and it won't stop you.
Weird.
It won't stop you from when you've maxed out because
that's just an unfinished system.
Exactly, it's unfinished.
The whole crafting system.
There's a couple moments like that where I'm like, it does feel like there's part of the game missing. Like this is going to be super nitpicky, and I definitely wouldn't say I don't enjoy the game because of this. But like when you're drinking something, there's no drinking animation. When you go and get like new legs and new eyeballs and new skin, there's no like animation
really
of that happening. Yeah. I was like, wait, the first time I sat in the chair, you like, diddled with me. Diddle it.
Yeah. Now you walk up to some random Ripper doc. You're like, I don't know you. And he's like, let me put some new eyeballs in you. You're like, okay, boom. And it's done. And you're like, huh? That's how you install it?
So
That's so
for
weird.
me as playing an RPG, those things are more important than in other games that I like can see when I'm eating, see when I'm drinking, going to the doctor. The fact that there's no barbershop is also really weird. Like, why can't I go?
That's connection to your character, all of that stuff.
Yeah, like all of that helps me feel connected to who I am and that's me and this is my experience in this city. And, even going to like a sushi place and I would like to just buy sushi that doesn't maybe do anything for me, but just give me something of like interacting with that instead of bringing up a menu of like, hey, do you want soda?
Here's something that's another like good luck finding this info in the game and not assuming it's just straight up a bug. But the smart bullets, smart gun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, now obviously you need. Well, I mean, not obviously. If you don't know, you need a component in your arm to actually activate the smart bullets. So if you get a gun with smart bullets, you have to then install a component for the smart gun type of thing to work. So that one right there, it does kind of explain. It says you do need a link for that to work. So there's that. But then there's certain enemies where you cannot shoot with the smart bullets, and you think, what the hell? Is this game bugged? What's going on here? Like, I can't shoot.
Is it
this
like
guy.
trying to shoot a friend in the game, where it just will
No, these are actual enemies. They're firing back at you.
But like, does it act like shooting a friend, where it just will not shoot them?
No, the bullets go away, like as if they completely miss.
Veer off.
Yep. Okay. And there was a couple instances where one time I was like, is it doing the thing where I can't shoot this guy again? And then it was just slightly off the geometry where they were sitting or standing. And then they were back onto a regular place, and then suddenly it could hit them. And I was like, okay, is the smart bullets just straight up bugged? And then someone in chat was talking about how certain enemies have tattoos, the tiger claws actually. And the tiger claws have tattoos that that mess with smart bullets, so they can't get hit by them. And you can get the same tattoo. The thing is, the game tells you this somewhere in one spot in one passing by situation and never mentions it again. So you're scanning the enemy and being like, do they have some sort of like anti-smart bullet BS baked into them? It doesn't tell you. The scan doesn't tell you. It should tell you that it has like a tattoo that's repelling smart bullets.
Totally, it should show you.
It should definitely tell you during the scan. I actually wanted to ask.
Scan is weird. I've seen one guy scan. He's wanted because he does not like pineapple pizza. Like
I did see that.
That level of detail is in there.
Wanted for pineapple pizza, yeah.
Sounds like a genuine. I mean, he should be locked up for that.
I did want to ask you guys if you've done a brain dance sequence post patch.
Yeah, because they calm down the flashing.
Is it significantly calmed down? What does it look like? Because I haven't seen it.
It's more of like a slow glow.
Okay, that's
a white
good.
screen instead of the. I mean, that was. I don't know how that passed any kind of QA because when it launched, it was like.
It gave someone a seizure. I don't understand how you could put that through like lots of testing. Even there's like automatic things that pick up epileptic stuff. Like there's tests that things go through, movies, TV shows, games, and it didn't pick it up at all. And I'm not someone who suffers from epilepsy, thank goodness, but it gave me a migraine when I first did the brain dance. If you have light sensitive migraines, that thing it could give you a migraine. It did give me a migraine. I had
to close my eyes for it. Like as soon as it starts,
it's
I would
uncomfortable,
just, like, look away.
right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't have any medical issues with it, it is uncomfortable. It's so bright. It's so fast.
Yeah, they changed it now, so it just kind of glows. I gotta say though, like there are some things in this game that I really am loving, and one of those things is the characters and the stories that are being told. I am 100% on board with some of the side quests. Like there is a side quest of like this nomad group with this woman who is kind of like she's half in, half out of this nomad group, and I'm a nomad as well. So like we're kind of connecting on that because I've left my nomad group. So. We've been running these missions. Some of them have been quite dangerous, and it's been really fun, like connecting with her. And there's also like a romantic angle to it, where she doesn't really know. I don't want to spoil too much, but she doesn't really know like if she wants to get involved with me or if she wants to get involved with anybody. So there's like, there's always these dialogue options. Like, do I want to push this? Am I okay with being her friend? Do I want to push the romantic side? And I really like that side of it. There's also a lot of choices that are, there's a lot of gray, morally kind of ambiguous choices to make. Mm-hmm. And like you are a mercenary, right? You are somebody who has to rob and steal and kill. But it's like sometimes like you could feel good about it because you're robbing and stealing and killing bad guys. But sometimes like, I don't know, is this person really a bad guy? Am I doing the right thing? For instance, there was this, there was this quest where I get together with this guy who wants to kill the guy who killed his wife. And we follow him and he immediately, something bad immediately happens to the guy I'm questing for. And then I get involved with the guy who killed his wife, and like all sorts of weird religious stuff is going on, and like strange like contextual arguments with Johnny Silverhand, who's played by Keanu Reeves. Like all sorts of like interesting conversations are happening, and I'm having a lot of fun meeting these characters, exploring the relationships, exploring the world, like even through all the bugs, through all the weirdness. Like the base of the game is interesting enough that I just keep wanting to go back in and find out what the conclusion to this person's story is, what the conclusion to that person's story is. Yeah. What is the conclusion to V and Johnny Silverhand's story? Like I'm really looking forward to like kind of seeing all this through.
It's apparently like 6+ maybe more endings that you can get.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot,
yeah.
Which is cool to me, like depending on like what side quests you do and how they turn out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely important to me. Like playing an RPG is especially one where it's so heavy on story. Is my decisions, my answers are all making an actual difference that I can see. Because it's very annoying when you have all that stuff in the game. You're like, oh, nothing's really changed.
Yeah, that genuinely kind of caught me like some of the times, because there were times where like I'm genuinely faced with this decision. I'm just like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Like I really like this character. Like I hope this is the right thing to say. And just, but I mean to definitely to kind of echo what you're sort of saying. Like the characters are 100% what shines in this game. Like I could definitely like play Cyberpunk, remove all the missions where I kill people, take out all the fights, and I would I could literally watch it like a movie. Like I genuinely, in a similar way to when I played like the Order 1886, like I saw it as like an interactive movie. Like I've enjoyed this more, and it's quite nice because I feel like a lot of the times when you play RPGs, you kind of you're juggling, right? You're juggling the game systems, and there's like a lot of like combat stuff to do, and then you've also got the story. And you're kind of weaving between both, and depending on what you enjoy the most, sometimes you're like, oh, I'm more into the combat, I'm more into the story. I always feel like because the combat in this, like, there were parts that I had fun, but honestly, it's not for me the thing that shined in the game. So as a result of that, it was never really at the forefront of my mind. I was always just like, I was able to focus like almost wholeheartedly on the story, like as if I was watching a movie. So I genuinely, I got to the end of it and I'm just like, I love the characters, I love how this all played out. So I enjoyed it from a narrative point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, you run into such like a wide variety of characters. You run into like an ex-cop who, his nephew got kidnapped by a child predator. You run into, you just run into such a wide variety of characters. And as V is kind of like, V's not super interesting in and of himself. He's more of like a cipher for you in this world. So you get to.
He's no Geralt.
No, he's definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, Geralt is a character from a book who's got, a story and a personality of his own. V is much more like, you're seeing this world through V's eyes, but this is your character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you get to play him how you want to play him. And like sometimes that breaks a little bit, like the dialogue that I really want to say isn't available, but like that's hard to do for everybody, right? But for the most part, like I'm willing to get my feeling across and like my intent across, and I feel like it's really successful in that.
I have enjoyed the story. I think for me, I'm gonna wait to play the game. Everything surrounding it has really just kind of killed my want to play the game. The seizure, the shady console stuff, the like me fighting to get a decent frame rate while also being given migraines by the game didn't really make me super excited. Yeah. I don't really enjoy the combat. There's a lot of RPG systems that are missing for me to really feel engrossed in the world. The stories I love. And I was thinking maybe I just beeline the story, or I just only focus on doing the side quests that have like a story behind them. But I think generally I'll enjoy the game more when it's got the patch or the ultimate edition that comes out that makes it actually perform the way that it's supposed to on PC and on console, drastically needed on console. And then I'll revisit it then.
That's probably a good idea. I sadomasochistically kind of enjoy games that are hard to run on PC and fiddle in with all the knobs and the settings. Like that's kind of my thing. I kind of enjoy it. It's nice to have a new crisis.
I've spent like an hour and a half like moving knobs around, and I'm like, I think it's actually affecting my computer when playing other things. It's like kind of doing what Anthem did when Anthem came out, and then you close Anthem and your computer's like, ugh, please turn me off. I need a break. Weird. Yeah. And there's a Neo 2 DLC coming out this week, and that game is absolutely freaking phenomenal. So I think I'm probably just gonna play that and just wait.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad option. Waiting on this game, I think, is probably the smartest thing you can do. Yeah. Like at least until they get the February patch out, and maybe like you said, like a Game of the Year edition. That kind of, I don't know, Game of the Year edition might be like a legendary edition or something like that, where, like a complete edition. Maybe they come out with, Witcher. I think it was like 2 years later that the last DLC came out for it.
Yeah, I've been telling people that if you can wait on this game, it's definitely going to benefit you in the long run, for sure.
Absolutely.
If you've been anticipating it, obviously, then you're going to be playing it regardless, and you're going to deal with the bugs. And like I'm kind of in that camp. Like I've really been waiting for this game, and I have been enjoying it. It's definitely nowhere near a Witcher 3 experience that we were thinking that it might come up to. And it's actually funny thinking back how we were like, oh boy, Cyberpunk's coming out, and it's gonna be like, is that gonna be Game of the Year or Game of the Decade or something like that? And it's like, no, it is definitely not. It's a great game. I've been enjoying it, and it does suck all the stuff that's been going on around it, but I've definitely been enjoying it, and it is nowhere near as good as Ghost of Tsushima, which is my personal Game of the Year.
I think that's what also made things a bit hard, is the games I've come off of was Demon Souls, and then I immediately started a Dark Souls playthrough, and then Destiny. And all of these games are like the pinnacle combat experiences of their type of games.
Yeah.
So going from that and then going into Cyberpunk, gameplay is super, super, super important for me, more so than story.
Yeah.
So I think, especially with fighting against the settings of the game, to just try and squeeze 50 FPS out, I'm just like, I think I will enjoy the game more when I can just load it up and have a smooth experience.
Yeah.
I think that's why okay.
No, I was going to say, this is one of the things why graphically I don't think it's as strong as I thought it was going to be, and I still don't think it's like a visual masterpiece at all. Like
that just doesn't track with me, Tefty. I cannot.
Look at Demon Souls.
Understand.
Look at Demon Souls. Demon Souls.
Yeah, but
is
Demon Souls is a
game
where you're playing like in a level. It's not an open world game. It's not even comparable.
But this is next gen.
You're better off explaining, like, comparing this to something like Fallout 4 or
I think it looks on par with Fallout 4.
Oh, I think you're crazy. I think
if you add the RTX stuff, if you add ray tracing to that and like the lighting, then you're basically on par. I don't think the texture maps are anywhere near as good as we thought it was going to be for like the 4K.
I wonder if your experience of this game is colored by the fact that you're on a 1080p monitor. Like maybe the fidelity of the graphics just don't come through like on the 1080p.
Demon Souls came through.
Yeah, it's such a different thing.
Destiny
right?
comes through.
Demon Souls. Again, you're talking about small levels, so you're not talking about an open world game. You know, so I don't know. Maybe that's a crazy thought. It's insane to me that like you think so poorly of it graphically, because it's
not that it's
so stunning
poor
to me.
Not that it's poor, but I don't think it's like next gen. Like Demon Souls was as a remaster. I think it looks like last gen with RTX.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Which almost makes the console thing a bit worse if you feel like that, right? If you're in the camp of like, this is next gen, then fair. If you're like, this doesn't look next gen and is more comparable to like a game I played on PS4, then it running really bad on PS4 and last gen is not great.
Yeah, I will be excited to see what it looks like on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. I do wonder if they're going to be able to get anywhere close to 60 FPS. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be a 30 FPS experience. So I wonder actually, like once they get the PS4, because right now you can play the PS4 and the Xbox One versions on the next gen consoles at 60 FPS. So I wonder if once they get those straightened out and they're not crashing all the time, if that's actually going to be the preferred console experience. It's playing the old versions on the new consoles to get 60 FPS.
True.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, it's an interesting game. I don't think I've ever seen a game come out, or at least not in recent memory, where everyone is getting such drastically different experiences.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Thank God we have the cyberpunksucks.com website registered. I mean, God, forward thinking, huh?
You know, I've solved this problem, right? So that we never have to worry about different editions, right? Let's just get rid of PC gaming, right? Just consoles. Everyone's got consoles, right? Everyone's got the same hardware. Sorry, PC gamers, no games for you anymore. You can play Minesweeper, you can play chess, but like no games for PC gamers anymore. It's not allowed. That way, you develop for the consoles. Everyone's on the same playing field. That's it. If you want to play on PC, you have to buy a PC Xbox or a PC PS5.
You can only go up to the console specs.
It's just a PS5, but it's beige now.
Exactly. Right? You can't upgrade it. All it's got an extra floppy disk drive, and then you can put some. But apart from that, that's it. And then we'll be on the same playing field. Done. No more PC gamers. Sorry, no Master Race. You guys.
I'll tell you what. Since this game has come out, this is the first time I've been looking. That 3090 actually.
But you see, the thing
nice.
is, I was watching a video of someone who has a 3090. They have an i9, like newest processor, newest everything you can get, and they're like, I'm really struggling to get 60 frames.
Yeah. I mean, even with the newest stuff, I mean, this game, like I said before, they'll be benchmarking this game for the next 10 years because it's gonna remain difficult to run. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not like a super tech head, so like, is there in my mind, I'm like, well, the 3090 is better than the 3080, right? But my 3080 has been great. Like, so is there some weird optimization with the 3090?
It's like 10%. It's 10% more powerful, but 100% more costly.
I think the I think the config thing. There might be something with this config thing. If people are looking at the config files and it's like not matching up to how it's supposed to look, and people are messing with it and having drastically improved experiences.
Because I've also played it on 2 different machines this week. Because I played one was a 3080 with an i9, and one was a 3080 with the new Ryzen processor. Both of them have been fine for me, and I'm like, okay,
interesting. Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've had a pretty fine experience with it too. It's like my frame rates and the choppiness has come from me trying to push it too hard. It's like can I get Ultra? Can I get RTX Ultra out of this? Can I get like the global illumination on this 2-year-old graphics card? Can I make that happen? The answer is really no. Not if I want to play at 60 FPS. But I
can't even get ray tracing. I can turn it off.
I can get the reflections, and I can get the ray trace lighting at medium, but not at ultra, where it turns on the global illumination, which is really nice, because what global illumination does is, like, if you, like, let's say you had a blue barrel next to a white wall with regular ray trace lighting, the sun shines and makes the white wall look like the sun is shining on it, and the blue barrel look like the sun is shining on it. Global illumination actually bounces the light from the blue barrel onto the white wall.
Yeah.
So it's just slightly more convincing.
I'm playing at Ultra on mine.
Yeah, but you're playing at 1080p. I'm trying to play at 4K.
Yeah. Which, again, so just like distinction wise, I want to make sure this is clear. Like, the RTX stuff and the ray tracing, that stuff is awesome and it looks fantastic. And in the like the cityscapes, those are really great looking. But when you get close to stuff, and you look at the texture maps, and you look at the character models and the animations from it, it really, like, it looks screamingly last gen to me. Like, it looks like stuff that was brought forward from Witcher models and stuff to be able to put into the game. So, anyways, not to harbor on that.
I mean,
yeah, I think for me as well, I just tend to not really get super excited about Western RPGs. I'm definitely more of like, I like the systems and the general pace of JRPGs, or just Asian-based RPGs in general. So I wasn't super stoked about Cyberpunk before it came out. Yeah. And like I said, the story I think is great, and I think I would want to play it for the story, but I don't feel the need to push through all the problems to experience that story right now.
I think that's completely fair. Like, some people are going to spend their night tonight watching anime, and some people are going to spend it watching RoboCop. And, like, it's okay to both of those people are totally fucking cool, right? Like, and some people tonight want to go home and play some Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I think is a fantastic game. Some people, like, Cyberpunk might look more interesting. I think you're probably better off playing Final Fantasy VII tonight and wait until next month to play Cyberpunk. But I got to tell you, I've been having a blast playing Cyberpunk. I'm totally down with the world. The driving, I'll tell you, one tip: plug a controller into your PC if you're playing on PC. Like, wow, it's so much better driving when you have a controller. Like, just pick it up for the driving parts, put it back down. You go back to mouse and keyboard for the rest of it.
For the whole thing. I mean,
you use the mouse and keyboard? Oh, you use the controller for the whole thing?
Yeah. But then again, I don't have to shoot, so I just punch things in the face. So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've been using controller for the whole time too, because I wanted to, like, sit back and play it like an RPG. And it's been okay.
I'm no stranger to PC gaming, but I just find it really annoying. Like, if there's a game where, like, all right, I want to be, like, sweaty good at it, it's like, all right, I'm gonna play mouse and keyboard. But if it's like, if I just want to enjoy the experience, I don't want to be like, oh, what are the bajillion keybinds? I'm just like, on a controller, I can't possibly forget what I need to do. Like, this is to open my menu. This is change weapon. So I just always go controller for that stuff. But yeah, no, I think part of the reason I enjoy it as well, I think it's because it was so different for me as well, because I'm typically, like what I said earlier, I'm always like a gameplay first person. Like, I can take it or leave it when it comes to story. I mean, I grew up as a Nintendo kid. Like, Nintendo they made some fantastic games, but like, you don't necessarily go to them for their gripping narratives, right? I'm just like, but they gave me, like, fantastic gameplay, right? And that's normally always what I go for. Like Tsushima, I love the gameplay. Demon's Souls, I love the gameplay. So for me to jump into an RPG where almost the gameplay is not the thing that shines, so as a result, I can just sit back and watch, like, a movie. And also because I'm, like, a huge fan of, like, Akira and Ghost in the Shell, I kind of got those vibes of in the world. I just really enjoyed it. And I think the one thing I did really appreciate about it as well is, obviously, I was so worried going into it from a coverage point of view. I'm just like, oh, this is an RPG. This is going to take me like 80 hours. Like, if you golden line it, you can do the story in, like, between 20 to 30 hours, like the main campaign. Obviously, I do highly recommend doing the side jobs to flesh it out. But what I like about it is because it's a game with so many life paths, so many choices, so many different endings, I could see myself quite happily doing another playthrough, knowing that in 25 to 30 hours, I could be at the end of the game again. Like I would never in my wildest dreams think of doing a second playthrough of an RPG, knowing how damn huge they are. But this game, I can actually do it. So I'm quite like, I already finished it. It's like, oh, I want to know what it's like if I played it as a corporate, because I played Nomad. So yeah, I genuinely enjoyed it. It's just the story. I just love the story, love the characters. So not perfect, definitely not.
It's got one of the best skip features for dialogue I've ever seen in an RPG too, because you're not skipping whole conversations. You still can see the dialogue if you have subtitles on, and you just hold the button and it skips just the voice dialogue to the next one. So it makes it like really fast to go through, like if you're seeing stuff again.
I will say that animation for skipping does again give me a headache.
Does it?
It is quite like, if you're doing it a lot, it's just quite like
there's a lot of stuff in this game where I'm like, you hate people with migraines, don't you?
That's awful.
When you're crouched and you get into a dialogue conversation on the controller and you're trying to
Dear Lord.
uncrouch because you don't want to be like looking up at them the whole time, you can't.
Yeah.
You just have to wait for the conversation to be done.
That's the one bug that I forgot to mention earlier. There was this weird one where like a lot of times when I would get out of a car or get off a bike, it puts you in a permanently crouched state. And then you go walk super slowly. And I only just finally discovered the other day, because up until this point, I would reload my save to fix it. I finally found out if you just press start to open the menu, it gets you out of crouch. And I'm like,
oh, nice.
No, that doesn't work for me. I tried that too.
Oh, really?
I had to get all the way out.
Saying the game is like, there's like 70 different games that people are playing with Cyberpunk. I don't understand. It's so weird.
Well, they did say that because of the life pass, they did say that no two people will have the same experience. They weren't wrong.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is very true. That's true.
Nobody else had the lemming suicide experience that I had with like 90 people jump off the same building into the same spot.
Oh, dear.
It was dark. I had to take a moment. Actually, I was laughing hysterically, and I was trying to quickly get my recording software going, but it wasn't.
Well,
calling your car is an adventure every time. Like I feel like
I haven't done that once.
You have a button to call your car over, and it'll just like drive to you, and it has no regard for other traffic or other drivers. And sometimes
it's true.
Sometimes it'll just like pop another car, or it itself will pop up into the air like a mile or two, come flying back down.
That's amazing.
I got killed by my own car.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I called it, and I was like, surely it's going to stop for me because I called it. Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
I need to call my car for the first time because this sounds
just
amazing.
Been stealing cars?
Yeah, I just walk out. Like the walking experience in Night City is so great. I love just walking out and like, oh, I'm just going to take this car real quick because it's basically GTA, you know, and then go to the spot. And sometimes you get some really cool cars too.
Yeah. Some of the cars are awesome. I haven't been using the fast travel at all because sometimes you get driven by another, like an NPC, and it's just so awesome to look out the window, especially at night, and just see Night City. It's so beautiful. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
This episode is already past an hour. I know we had some other stuff we wanted to talk about.
We have the freaking Game Awards that we need to talk about.
Oh, okay.
But maybe we'll have to have like a Game Awards show
where
we talk about the things that were shown and.
Yeah, I think we need to save that for next week because we're planning on doing like an end of the year Game Awards type of roundup type of thing for us next week, right?
Yeah, we'll have to decide on some kind of format for that. What did we last year? Everybody brought their top 5 games of the year.
Yeah, maybe
and we just talked about them.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to also roll in Game Awards, maybe we might have to cut it down to like top 3 or something like that, and then see how we do that. And then also
we could do that. Yeah, we could do like our top 3 games of the year, and then we could talk about what was shown at the Game Awards trailer wise. Because we don't need to talk about like what won and stuff. Spoiler: The Last of Us won literally everything. There you go.
Yeah.
Now you don't need to watch it.
Narrative.
Everybody was so mad about it. Everybody was so mad about that game all year. Crazy.
Tsushima was
It's
robbed.
because the 10% vote is for the public. 90% is judges. So.
Yeah.
Judges were wrong, man.
10%. 10%.
That's what I said when I spent 2 years in jail for just stealing one cow.
Oh man. Yeah, but I feel like there was something else. I can't remember. Oh, Monster Hunter stuff, right? They did a couple of videos.
Yeah, but they're dropping more videos throughout the week. So I guess next week we could just do a quick round.
Yeah.
Basically, just showing off. It's the usual thing they do pre-Monster Hunter launch, where they ever start dropping individual videos for each of the weapons to sort of show off.
Yeah.
So we've only got 2 so far. So by next week, we should hopefully, assuming they're every day, have 14.
Which Monster Hunter is this, Eric's?
The one on Switch, Monster Hunter Rise, coming. The one
Rise.
Yeah.
And there's 2 coming out, right? There's the story one and the Rise.
Story is much further out. We don't have a date for that yet.
Okay.
So they haven't really said too much. But yeah, Rise is March 26th.
And Rise is going to be more like World was, but it's going to be on the Switch.
Yeah, kind of like a mix between like in terms of like the quality of life stuff of World, but with say some of like the character and stuff of the previous things like Generations and stuff, because it's like a lot more like vibrant and like over the top and stuff. So yeah, definitely if you play World, you'll feel at home. Well, supposedly you'll feel at home with this one, but lots of like new fancy stuff. So it's looking to be a really good one.
Nice. That's exciting. So it looks like we're gonna have a packed episode next week. We're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about. Top 3 might be a little excessive for all of us to get through it all, unless of course we
have to pick one. That would be impossible.
You know what I think we should do?
Pick different ones. Maybe.
What if we all picked a top 5, but we only talk about our top 3, like, because there's going to be repeats. So we'll just like when Ghost of Tsushima comes, we all talk about Ghost of Tsushima as a group, and we
say
it up 4 different times.
Say where it is in our top 5.
It was the best. More of this, please. It's
so like be prepared with like your top 6 or so, and then we won't talk about them in any specific order. It'll be our top 3 games, not our first, second, and third favorite game.
Sure.
Yeah,
that works. Yeah, I think so.
I like it.
And then, like, if it was your favorite game, obviously you can just say, "This was my absolute favorite game. This is my
Last of Us Part 2.
This is my penis number 1."
Oh my!
Oh man! All right. Well, should we wrap it up? Is that the episode?
I think so.
Yeah. That was a lot of Cyberpunk talk, and maybe. Well, I don't know if we'll talk about the story next week or not. We'll see.
Cyberpunk story? Let's give it a month or so.
Yeah,
I still got to get time to get a 3090, so give me.
There you go. Briar's got to do some upgrades. Yeah.
I can get a 3090.
I'll get back to you next year with the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah. All right. That is episode number 75 for SideQuest. Thank you very much for hanging out. Shout out to our Patreon members and our Twitch subs. Appreciate all the support on the shows. You guys are amazing. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft. Who's next?
Me. Sure. I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
I'm Arix. You can find me over on Twitter and YouTube at Arix, or Scuf Gaming, where I will be doing Monster Hunter and Cyberpunk coverage this week.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me ignoring all my responsibilities to stay in Night City as long as possible.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week for an exciting episode of End of 2020 Top Picks.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Top picks. DCP Pick'ems.
Pick'ems. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.